The brilliant blue of Earth's sky darkened as thousands of alien ships broke through the atmosphere. Admiral Park stood at the command center window, watching humanity's last defense satellites burn like falling stars. 5 days earlier, the Malik had destroyed Mars colony. Before that, Europa Station and the Outer Rim settlements had fallen silent. "Admiral, we've lost contact with the Asian defense grid," said Captain Kim, her face illuminated by the red emergency lights. She looked young, too young for this responsibility, but remained steady despite the chaos around them. Park nodded, grimly. "And the evacuation transports?" 8 successfully launched. 4 were destroyed. Kim's voice cracked slightly. "That's less than 3 million people saved out of 8 billion. Outside, the first Malik ground ships touched down on the outskirts of New Seoul. Their tall, insect-like forms moved with terrible purpose through the abandoned streets. The invasion had begun so suddenly 3 years ago. One day, humanity was exploring the stars with optimism. The next colonies were being systematically exterminated by an enemy no one had ever seen before. "Send the final message to the seed ships," Park ordered, turning away from the window. "Activate Protocol Ember." Kim pressed her palm against the scanner. Protocol Ember confirmed. Message sent. Across what remained of human space, 12 unmarked vessels received the signal. These ships carried humanity's legacy, genetic samples, cultural records, scientific knowledge, and 10,000 carefully selected survivors. Their mission, to disappear completely. "Do you think it will work?" Kim asked quietly, after the other officers had left to their final positions. Park looked at the old family photo on his desk, his wife and daughter who had died when the Malik hit the lunar colonies. "It has to. They need to survive long. Enough to remember." The building shook as Malik weapons struck nearby. The aliens were methodical, destroying military targets first, then infrastructure, then population centers. They weren't interested in Earth's resources or in taking human prisoners. This was extermination, pure and simple. "All remaining combat units engage primary targets," Park ordered into the global command network. "Give the seed ships time to reach the jump points." Reports flooded in from around the world as humanity's remaining soldiers fought with desperate courage. In what was once called Europe, the last mechanized division charged directly into a Malik landing zone. Near the southern ice cap, submarine captains launched their missiles before deliberately sinking their vessels to avoid capture. Park knew these were not acts that could win the war. That hope had died months ago. These were acts of defiance, meant to be remembered. On the 12th seed ship Harmony, young scientist June finalized the most important document in human history, the Covenant of Silence. It contained instructions for the survivors and their descendants. Stay hidden, develop new technologies, remember Earth. And in 5,000 years, when the Malik would have forgotten humanity's potential, return and reclaim their home. "Captain, we've lost the orbital defense network," a young officer reported. Kim's hands tightened on the console. "How long until they reach us?" "Minutes." Park took a deep breath. "Send the final authorization codes to the seed ships. They are now on their own." On the Harmony, June watched the notification appear on his screen. Earth's command structure had fallen. The ship's captain immediately engaged the experimental stealth systems. Around them, the other seed ships did the same, becoming invisible to Malik sensors. "Course set for the Proxima Centauri dark sector," the navigation officer announced. "Estimated travel time, 43 years. June looked at the small group of children gathered in the ship's observation deck. They pressed their hands against the glass, watching as Earth grew smaller behind them. These children would grow old on this journey. Their grandchildren would be the firstborn in humanity's new hidden home. "What will you tell them?" asked the ship's doctor, nodding toward the children. "The truth," June replied, "that we will return, back on Earth." Park and Kim stood side by side as Malik forces breached the command center's outer defenses. "It's been an honor, Captain," Park said, extending his hand. Kim shook it firmly. "The honor was mine, Admiral." When the Malik finally broke through the reinforced doors, they found only empty stations and destroyed computers. Park and Kim had made their last stand in the communications room, ensuring all data about the seed ships was completely erased. The Malik Supreme Commander surveyed Earth from orbit as fires consumed the last human cities. Victory was complete. Humanity had been removed from the galaxy, a potential rival civilization eliminated. The aliens departed, leaving automated sentinels to monitor the ruined planet. What they failed to notice was a small ship slipping away from Earth's shadow, its systems running silent, carrying the final strand of humanity's hope toward the stars. 5,000 years passed like water flowing through a stream. The descendants of Earth's survivors evolved in their hidden corners of the galaxy. On Proxima Nova, Director Lee walked through hallways carved from the heart of an asteroid. Her footsteps made no sound on the smooth stone floor. Around her, hundreds of people worked in complete silence, their minds connected through a vast network that allowed them to share thoughts without speaking. Lee paused beside researcher Han, who sat motionless before a floating display of light. Han's eyes were closed, but his mind was fully active. Through the neural link, Lee could see what he saw, a new design for ships that could travel between stars faster than ever before. The tests are successful. Han's thoughts appeared in Lee's mind. We can now connect our brains directly to our machines. Lee nodded with satisfaction. When their ancestors had arrived on this barren rock 5 millennia ago, they had been forced to communicate with primitive voice and text. Now, their thoughts flowed as freely as water between them. It was an advantage the Malik would never expect. How soon can we begin installing the systems in our fleet? Lee asked silently. 3 months, came the reply, just in time for the Great Awakening. Far across the galaxy, Commander Song floated in the darkness of the Oort Cloud Collective. Around him, ships moved like ghosts through the void. To any observer, even the automated Malik probes that occasionally swept through the system, they would appear as nothing more than shadows. Impressive, Song said as Engineer Choi demonstrated their newest creation. The small sphere in Choi's hand seemed to disappear when activated, becoming completely invisible. The nano-weapons inside can take apart any Malik ship piece by piece, Choi explained. They won't even know what hit them. Song smiled. His great-great-great-grandmother had been one of the original survivors from Earth. She had told stories of how the Malik ships had seemed invincible, their weapons unstoppable. Now humanity had learned to fight in ways the Malik could never imagine. Send the production specs to Terra Obscura, Song ordered. It's time to combine our technologies. On Terra Obscura, the third major human settlement, Dr. Kang stepped out of her laboratory without a protective suit. The planet's atmosphere was toxic, a mix of methane and acids that would kill an ordinary human in seconds. Yet she breathed it easily, her lungs processing the deadly chemicals without harm. The final adaptations are complete, she announced, to her team, who stood similarly unprotected in the harsh environment. Our bodies can now survive anywhere the Malik can, and many places they cannot. When humans had first hidden on this poison world, they had lived in sealed domes, venturing outside only in heavy protective gear. Generation by generation, they had changed their own bodies. First small adjustments to withstand the gravity, then larger ones to process the atmosphere, and finally complete redesigns that allowed them to thrive where their ancestors would perish. The Malik will not recognize us as human, said her assistant. They will not see us coming until it is too late. That night, representatives from all 3 settlements gathered through quantum communication. Though physically separated by vast distances, their holograms sat together at a round table, continuing a tradition that had lasted 5,000 years. The time approaches, said Lee from Proxima Nova. Our sensors detect the Malik have grown lazy and comfortable. Their technology has barely advanced since the fall of Earth. While we have become something new entirely, added Kang from Terra Obscura. A small boy entered the Terra Obscura chamber, bringing water to his mother. Unlike the adults, his skin had a slight blue tint, the mark of the latest genetic modifications. He had never known Earth except through stories. To him, the Malik were not living nightmares but distant monsters to be defeated. Tell me again about the blue skies, he asked Kang after the meeting ended. Kang smiled sadly. Like all children, he had been raised on stories of the lost homeworld. The feel of wind on skin, the sound of ocean waves, the sight of birds flying through open air. These were experiences no human had known for 5 millennia. Soon, she promised, you will see them for yourself. In the deepest chamber of Proxima Nova, ancient equipment hummed to life. A countdown appeared on screens throughout all human settlements. 5,000 years, almost to the day, since humanity had been forced into hiding. The time of silence was coming to an end. The time of vengeance was about to begin. Commander. Yoon guided her small ship through the asteroid field with practiced ease. The vessel was designed to look like space debris, just another rock floating among thousands. This camouflage had kept humans hidden from Malik patrols for thousands of years. Are you sure about these coordinates? Lieutenant Bay asked, looking skeptically at the barren moon growing larger in their view screen. There's nothing here. My ancestor was Admiral Park's navigation officer, Yoon replied firmly. Her hand touched the worn metal pendant around her neck, a family heirloom containing the exact location they now approached. These coordinates have been passed down through my family for 5,000 years. The small moon looked unremarkable. Its gray surface was pocked with craters, no different from countless other dead worlds. But according to family legend, this place held the key to humanity's return. Scan for artificial structures, Yoon ordered. Bay ran the scans 3 times, before responding. Nothing, Commander. If something was built here, it's either gone or buried deep. Yoon's face hardened with determination. Then we dig. The ship landed in a large crater. Yoon led a team of 6 onto the surface. They wore simple environment suits, their bodies modified over generations on Terra Obscura, could survive brief exposure to vacuum without protection, but extended operations still required equipment. My great-grandmother said to look for the shadow of the tallest peak when the sun reaches its zenith, Yoon said, checking the ancient paper notes she had brought. Such physical records had proven more reliable than digital data over the millennia. The team waited as the distant sun climbed higher. When it reached its peak, the shadow of a jagged mountain stretched across the crater floor like a pointing finger. Yoon followed it to its tip and began to dig. 3 meters down, their shovels hit metal. It's a door, Bay whispered in awe as they cleared away the dust of ages. The entrance had no visible handle or control panel, but when Yoon pressed her pendant against its surface, ancient mechanisms hummed to life. The door slid open, revealing a dark passage leading deep underground. Inside, emergency lights flickered on automatically, illuminating a chamber untouched for 5 millennia. The air was stale but breathable, life support systems somehow still, functioning after all this time. At the center of the room stood a simple pedestal with a small black cube resting on top. What is it? One of the team members asked. Yoon approached slowly. According to my family's records, it's called Prometheus, a guardian left to watch over humanity while we hid. When she touched the cube, it hummed softly. Light spilled from its surface, forming the image of a man in an ancient military uniform, the style not worn since before the Malik invasion. Identity confirmed, the hologram said. Descendant of Park bloodline recognized. Activating Prometheus protocol. The HFY hologram expanded, filling the room with star maps and diagrams. The figure spoke again, its voice calm and measured. I am Prometheus. For 5,000 years I have observed the Malik Empire. I have studied their weaknesses, their patterns, their vulnerabilities. I have waited for you. Yoon's team stood, frozen in amazement as the AI showed them detailed reports of Malik activities across the galaxy. The Malik believed themselves invincible. Prometheus continued. They have grown complacent. Their technology has barely advanced since your defeat. Meanwhile, humanity has evolved in ways they cannot imagine. The hologram displayed images of Malik worlds, their cities, their fleets, their defenses. For 5 millennia, hidden probes had been gathering intelligence, waiting for this moment. Their empire has spread thin, the AI explained. They rely on automated systems and outdated weapons. They no longer remember the true threat humanity posed. Yoon leaned forward, Can we defeat them? Not alone, Prometheus replied. But united, with the technologies of Proxima Nova, the Oort Cloud Collective, and Terra Obscura combined, yes. For 3 days, Yoon and her team studied the information Prometheus provided. They learned of backdoors into Malic communication systems, blind spots in their sensor arrays, and critical weaknesses in their ship designs. When they finally emerged from the moon base, Yoon carried with her a small data chip containing the accumulated knowledge of 5,000 years of surveillance. Send the signal, she ordered as soon as they returned to their ship. It's time for the Reclamation Council to meet. Across hidden human settlements, ancient communication beacons activated. On Proxima Nova, Director Lee received the call. In the Oort Cloud Collective, Commander Song's ship changed course immediately. From Terra Obscura, Dr. Kang prepared her fastest vessel. For the first time in 5 millennia, representatives from all human colonies would gather in one place. As Yoon's ship jumped to lightspeed, she looked at the small hologram of Earth that Prometheus had given her, a perfect image of the home her ancestors had lost. The silence ends now, she whispered. The Malic outpost on Rigel 7 had stood for 4,000 years. Its tall spires reached toward the stars, a symbol of the alien empire's unquestioned dominance. The outpost's commander, a high-ranking Malic, named Drex, had held his position for 200 years. Nothing interesting ever happened on Rigel 7 until today. Sir, we're detecting strange energy readings, a junior officer reported, his insectoid mandibles clicking nervously. Drex moved to the observation window. The security grid showed no approaching ships, no unusual activity, just the empty blackness of space. Probably another sensor malfunction, Drex said dismissively. Run a diagnostic. Before the officer could respond, every light in the station flickered and died. Emergency power activated, casting the command center in a dim red glow. Report, Drex shouted. All systems failing, the officer replied, frantically working his controls. Something is inside our network taking control of... The officer froze mid-sentence. His eyes glazed over as if seeing something invisible to others. Then he began, systematically shutting down the station's remaining defenses. What are you doing? Drex demanded, pulling the officer away from the console. They're in my head, the officer whispered. The humans. They're in my head. Humans. Drex's mandibles clicked in confusion. Impossible. Humans were eradicated 5,000 years ago. Outside the viewport, space itself seemed to ripple. 3 ships appeared where there had been nothing before, their hulls absorbing light rather than reflecting it. They were unlike any vessels Drex had ever seen. This is Commander Yoon of the Human Reclamation Fleet, a voice announced over the station's speakers. Your outpost is now under our control. The station shuddered as airlock doors opened throughout the structure. Drex watched in horror as figures moved through vacuum without protective gear, humans with skin that glittered like metal, breathing space as if it were air. The station fell in less than an hour. Similar attacks unfolded across Malic territory. On Centauri Prime, the governor's palace found its defense grid dissolved by microscopic machines that ate through metal and circuitry. On the Malic military base at Tau Ceti, the entire command, staff suddenly found themselves unable to perceive human soldiers walking openly through their halls. In the Malic Supreme Command Center, reports flooded in from across the Empire. The Supreme Leader, a massive Malic elder with faded exoskeleton, clicked his mandibles in agitation. How is this possible? He demanded. Show me these humans. The images displayed on the command screen showed beings that barely resembled the humans of ancient records. Some had skin that changed color to match their surroundings. Others moved with impossible speed or demonstrated strength that could bend metal. Still others seemed to communicate without speaking, coordinating complex attacks with perfect precision. They were supposed to be extinct, the Supreme Leader hissed. We destroyed their homeworld. We occupied their homeworld, his advisor corrected carefully. Earth remains under our control as a memorial to our victory. In deep space, the human fleet gathered. Ships from all hidden colonies converged. The telepathic navigators from Proxima Nova, the nanotech destroyers from the Oort cloud, the genetically enhanced warriors from Terra Obscura. At the center of the fleet, aboard the flagship Reclamation, leaders from each colony met in the war room. The Malik Defense Network is in chaos, Director Lee reported, her thoughts flowing directly into the ship's systems as she spoke. Their coordination is primitive compared to our neural links. Their ships are falling to our nanoweapons, added Commander Song. They have no countermeasures. Dr. Kang nodded. And our adapted soldiers can fight in environments the Malik consider lethal. Admiral Yoon studied the holographic map showing Malik territory. After 5,000 years of expansion, the alien empire stretched across half the galaxy. Yet already human forces had reclaimed 20 systems in just 2 weeks of fighting. Prometheus was right, Yoon said. They grew complacent while we evolved. A young officer entered the war room with an urgent message. Admiral, we've intercepted Malik communications. They're mobilizing their main battle fleet to protect their homeworld. Yoon looked at the assembled human leaders. This is what we've prepared for across 5,000 years. The Malik think they're facing the same humans they defeated before. They don't understand what we've become. The human fleet moved with perfect coordination, using jump points the Malik had never discovered. While the alien defenders gathered around their homeworld, the human armada appeared at an unexpected angle, bypassing the main defense line. On the bridge of the Reclamation, Admiral Yoon watched as the Malik homeworld came into view. The blue-green planet looked eerily similar to the ancient images of Earth. For our ancestors, she said quietly. Begin the final approach. The largest fleet humanity had assembled in 5 millennia, moved forward as one, ready to bring 5,000 years of silent preparation to its ultimate conclusion. The human armada emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation. 1,000 ships surrounded the Malik homeworld, their weapons primed and ready. Admiral Yoon stood on the bridge of the Reclamation, watching the alien planet grow larger on the view screen. The Malik fleet is responding, reported Captain Shin, a tall woman from the Oort Cloud Collective whose skin had the metallic sheen of nanotech enhancements. But their movements are strange. Yoon studied the tactical display. The Malik ships moved without coordination, some clustering too close together, others leaving wide gaps in their defensive line. It was nothing like the precise, overwhelming force that had conquered Earth 5 millennia ago. They've forgotten how to fight a real war, Yoon realized. They've had no worthy opponents for thousands of years. The first wave of human ships engaged the outer Malik defenses. Vessels from Proxima Nova slipped through the enemy formation, their crews using telepathic links to predict and avoid Malik fire. Ships from Terra Obscura absorbed direct hits without damage, their hulls adapted to withstand energies that would have vaporized their ancestors' craft. We could destroy them all, General Kwan observed from his position beside Yoon. They have no defense against what we've become. Before Yoon could respond, a communication request flashed on the main screen. The signal originated from the Malik Central Command. They wish to surrender? Shin asked in disbelief. Let's find out, Yoon replied. Accept the transmission. The face that appeared on screen was that of an aged Malik. His exoskeleton had faded from the vibrant blue of youth to a pale gray. His mandibles trembled slightly as he spoke. I am Supreme Leader Vex of the Malik Dominion, the alien said. I request parley with the human commander. Yoon stepped forward. This is Admiral Yoon of the Human Reclamation Fleet. Speak. The Malik. Leader's compound eyes flickered. Before you destroy our world, there is something you should know about your homeworld. 2 hours later, Yoon stood in a neutral meeting station between the opposing fleets. Supreme Leader Vex entered with 4 guards, his movements slow with age. Show me, Yoon demanded without preamble. The Malik leader activated a holographic display. An image of a blue-green planet appeared. Earth, exactly as it had appeared in ancient records. Your world was not destroyed, Vex explained. It was preserved as a monument to our greatest victory. Yoon's hands trembled slightly. For 5,000 years, Humans had believed Earth was a radioactive ruin. The truth was both better and worse. Their homeworld still existed, kept like a trophy by their conquerors. "Take me there," she ordered. The journey to Earth took 3 days. As the reclamation entered the Sol system, Yoon gathered the leaders of the human colonies on the observation deck. Together they watched as the blue planet of their ancestors came into view. Dr. Kang wept openly at the sight. "It's just as the stories described. The blue oceans, the white clouds." Scans confirmed what seemed impossible. Earth was largely unchanged. The Malik had maintained automated systems to preserve its natural state, while allowing no intelligent life to evolve or return. In her private quarters, Yoon faced the most difficult decision of her life. The Malik fleet was in disarray. Their technology had stagnated while humanity had evolved in extraordinary ways. Complete victory, the annihilation of the species that had nearly destroyed humanity, was within reach. Yet as she looked down at Earth, she wondered what her ancestors would want. Revenge, or something more? The next day, Yoon met again with Supreme Leader Vex aboard the Reclamation. The aged Malik seemed to have grown even older in the past days, the weight of imminent destruction heavy upon him. "These are our terms," Yoon said, her voice firm. "The Malik will withdraw from all human worlds. You will provide resources and labor to rebuild what was destroyed. Earth will be returned to human control immediately." "And in exchange?" Vex asked. "Your species will live," Yoon replied simply. 3 years later, Yoon walked along a reconstructed shoreline on Earth. The beach had been rebuilt according to ancient records. Children played in the sand, some with the blue-tinted skin of Terra Obscura, others with the silvery neural interfaces of Proxima Nova. All of them descendants of those who had waited 5,000 years for this moment. Above them, in orbit, Malik ships worked alongside human vessels, rebuilding the orbital stations destroyed millennia ago. It was not friendship. That would take generations more, but it was peace. Dr. Kang approached, carrying a handful of seashells. "Was mercy the right choice?" she asked. Yoon watched as a child built a sandcastle, then telepathically shared the experience with friends halfway around the world. "Our ancestors wanted revenge," she said quietly. "But they gave us something better, the chance to be wiser than our enemies." In the distance, a Malik work crew rebuilt an ancient human monument, under the supervision of human engineers. The aliens moved with careful precision, their once proud mandibles lowered in deference. 5,000 years of silence had ended, not with extinction, but with the dawn of a new age. Humanity had returned, carrying with them the best parts of what they had become during their long exile among the stars.